Emotional intelligence is not one single thing. It is not just being nice. It is not smiling calmly while your inner life is basically a burning office building. And it is definitely not saying, I am very emotionally intelligent, because that usually makes people nervous. One important EQ component is independence. Now, independence sounds like, I do my own thing. I need nobody, I make my own choices. I am a mysterious mountain wolf with a pension plan. Very impressive. But that is not what independence means in emotional intelligence. Independence is the ability to think, decide, and act for yourself, without becoming overly dependent on approval, pressure, or permission from other people. It does not mean you never listen. It means you listen without handing over your judgment. You can take advice, you can respect others, you can cooperate, you can belong. But somewhere inside there is still a clear question. What do I think? That question matters. Because success is not just about talent, knowledge, or hard work. Long-term success depends on the quality of your decisions, especially when there is pressure. And pressure is where low independence becomes expensive. A person with low independence often does not choose what is best. They choose what feels safest. They ask, what will people think? Will I disappoint someone? Will I look difficult? Will this avoid conflict? Human questions, but not always useful questions. Because, success often requires uncomfortable choices. Saying no, disagreeing, starting before people understand, continuing after people stop clapping. Without independence, you become reactive. You follow the loudest voice, the safest option, the familiar expectation, the path with the least immediate discomfort. That may keep life smooth. But honestly, smooth is not the same as successful. Smooth can also mean you are quietly drifting. Take work, for example. Someone keeps accepting extra tasks. Another request? Yes. Another meeting? Yes. Another urgent priority? Of course. Let's add a small decorative fire to the existing fire. At first, people like this person. Reliable, flexible, helpful, a wonderful person to overload. But then the quality drops, the focus disappears, the energy declines, the resentment grows, not because they are lazy, because they were too dependent on approval to protect their priorities. That is one way independence leads to success. It protects your focus. And focus matters because your attention is not unlimited. If you cannot say no, your energy gets spent on other people's agendas. You may look busy, but busy is not the same as effective. Independence also improves decision-making. If you constantly need approval, your decisions become distorted. You do not ask what is wise, you ask what is socially safe. So you stay in the job because others think it is sensible. You avoid the idea because people might laugh. You follow the group because at least nobody can blame you. Very comforting, also not very useful. Independent people do not make perfect decisions. Nobody does. Even Captain Help has ordered things online that looked much larger in the picture, but independent people own their decisions. And when you own your decisions, you learn faster. You ask, what did I miss? What did I get right? What will I do differently next time? That learning loop is crucial for success. People who outsource their choices often outsource the learning as well. Independence also builds resilience. If you need approval before every step, criticism becomes terrifying. One negative comment can stop you. One raised eyebrow can silence you. One cold email ending with "noted" can ruin your afternoon. Independence does not mean criticism no longer hurts. Of course it hurts. We are human beings, not kitchen tiles. But independence helps you separate criticism from collapse. You can ask yourself, is this useful feedback? Or maybe, should I adjust? Or is this just someone's discomfort with my choice? That really matters because, successful people are not the ones who avoid criticism. They are the ones who can learn from criticism without being owned by it. And finally, independence creates initiative. Independent people are just more likely to start. They do not wait around for the whole committee of life to approve the first step. They can say, I have thought about this. It is not perfect, and I'm going to move. That is honestly often the difference between people who dream and people who build. But there is a warning here. Independence is not stubbornness. Stubbornness says, I don't care what anyone thinks, which honestly often means I refuse to learn and I have chosen confidence as my hiding place. Healthy independence still listens, it asks for feedback, it checks reality, it cooperates. But after listening, it does not disappear, it decides. So independence is not, I need nobody. It is, I can listen without blindly obeying. I can care without losing myself. I can choose without needing applause. I can stand alone when needed and still stay human. And in a world full of pressure, opinions, expectations, group chats, trends, performance reviews, and professional nonsense disguised as alignment, that is not a small skill, that is emotional intelligence. And yes, Captain Help supports that message, independently, of course.